For this double indie review, we have another theme, and that is going to be games that may be small on length, but are certainly big on charm. And we're going to be reviewing Jack Move and Tinykin. Jack Move is a cyberpunk-inspired JRPG. We play as Noah, who, when her genius father is kidnapped by an evil corporation, she's going to have to hack programs in order to save him. And by hack, I mean punch, and by programs, I mean bad guys' faces. This is kind of like your standard route or standard design of a JRPG, full of random battles, side quests, and of course leveling up. Combat works by adding different programs to Noah's deck. These programs can do different kinds of damage, buffs, debuffs, heals, that kind of thing. You can also equip different hardware, which you have a certain allotment of. That can be used to apply unique perks, such as being able to see enemies' health, get faster move speed or move turns, and so on and so forth. Now, as you play through the game, you are going to be locked to various programs based on what your level is, and as the game goes on, you will unlock special moves, including the quote-unquote Jack moves, which are kind of like your JRPG super summons. In terms of the aesthetics, I really like the pixel art in this one. Every character has very unique animations and idle movements, and the game just has a very nice flow to it in that respect. However, I do have some issues with it. As you get further in, and this game is not on the long side, I think it could be maybe 3 to 5 hours give or take, but when you head into the final quarter, the difficulty ramps up considerably. The game gives you a pretty big heads up that you want to do some grinding for the final dungeons, but even doing that grinding, it still felt like I was just behind the 8-ball. And you're always going to be by yourself in this game, which can make it very hard to escape damage. In several situations, the enemy party attacked me before I could even get one move off and basically took me from full health to death, and there was literally nothing I could have done in that respect. There are a lot of programs and buffs that you can equip to Noah, but it does feel like for a game like this that there's only a few standout ones, and while you can mix and match during battle, it does feel a little bit clunky in this respect, despite the fact that the game seems to be built around that, as enemies may gain or change their resistances, especially at some boss fights, as well as just having certain buffs that can be used for a specific purpose, such as being able to spot what the enemy's weaknesses are. Ultimately, I did have to turn on auto win to see this game all the way through, but I found this to be very entertaining nonetheless. And if you are looking for a JRPG inspired game to play, then definitely check out Jack Move. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a closer look at Tinykin. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, then check out my game design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 essential games to study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with more coming soon. Tinykin stars Milo, who, after teleporting to try and figure out where humanity came from, finds himself trapped in a house apparently circa 1990, where all the bugs have come to worship the owner. And to help him out, he's going to need the help of, well, these lovely Tinykin in order to get around. So this game is kind of like a combination of a 3D platformer and the hit Nintendo game Pikmin. As Milo, you are free to explore each area and look for the many MacGuffins, power-ups, and Tinykin eggs that you will need in order to solve various puzzles and get around. Each level is self-contained in terms of the number of Tinykin that you can get. I think this is done both from a balancing standpoint and to give the game some form of progression, as the more Tinykin you unlock will let you do more, explore more, and find more in each level. The platforming itself feels really great, And picking up and throwing the Tinykin is done very simply, as every Tinykin has a context-sensitive command. Some can be used to blow stuff up, some can make a kind of ladder, or even create a makeshift bridge for you across each level. The levels themselves are full of various major and minor puzzles and quests to do. The major quests will always end with you getting a piece of a machine that you need to get home, while the smaller quests can earn you various MacGuffins, health upgrades, that kind of thing. Now, in terms of difficulty, Tinykin is definitely not on the hard side. While you can quote-unquote die by either falling from too high up, or for some reason swimming in this game, nothing is permanent, and when you die you just simply go back to where you last were safe. And I would say that this is a game that is really solid fundamentals as a 3D platformer, and it's a really great game for someone who's looking for like either a very casual 3D platformer or a game to introduce someone to 3D platforming. You are not going to be doing Mario Odyssey crazy movement tech in this game by any stretch of the imagination. Instead, all you have is your jump, your surprisingly fun soap skateboard, and the ability to kind of hover or flutter jump. All in all, this is a really entertaining game. I went through the whole thing. It is, again, not going to be a super long game unless you really want to go for 100% in each level. And while this game, again, may not be the most complicated or the most technically advanced 3D platformer, it's just all around very charming. And I would recommend it again if you're looking for a 3D platformer and just something to kind of like zone out to and jump. So, with that said, we're going to wrap up our double review here. You'll find links to both games down below. As always, do the liking, subscribing, and commenting. If you'd like me to tickle your game for a future review and stream, please reach out. Be sure to visit our Discord and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where examine the art and science of games.